Our final lesson is when David laments the death of Saul. The Philistines attacked Israel and killed many of its soldiers. They pursued King Saul and closed in on the remnant. Fierce fighting surrounded the king, and an archer critically wounded him. His sons Jonathan, Abinadab, and Melchishua were slain. Not wanting to die at the hands of the Philistines, Saul asked his armor-bearer to kill him. The man could not do this. So Saul fell on his own sword and died. Distraught, the armor-bearer fell on his sword too. When the surrounding Israelite towns heard the Philistines had defeated their army and Saul and his sons were dead, they fled their homes, allowing the Philistines to occupy them. The next day, the Philistines returned to the battlefield, cut off Saul's head, and removed his armor. They sent messengers to tell their people of their victory. They stored Saul's armor in a temple of one of their goddesses and hung his body on the wall of Bethshan. When the valiant warriors of Jabesh-Gilead learned what the Philistines had done to Saul, they felt a need to honor him. Remembering how years earlier Saul had rescued their city, they marched through the night to Bethshan and removed the bodies of Saul and his sons off the wall. Then, after cremating them, their ashes were buried under a tamarisk tree at Jabesh. A young man covered in ashes with his clothes torn brought word of Saul's death to David. He presented David with Saul's crown and bracelets. David asked for details. The man made up a story of what happened. He said he found King Saul on Mount Gilboa leaning into his spear, trying to end his life, but his breath lingered such that he was unable. Next to him lay his dead sons, including Jonathan. In agony, King Saul begged him to help him die before the enemy arrived, and he assisted him. When David heard the messenger's story about killing Saul, David ordered his execution. No one had the right to kill God's anointed. The messenger's words filled them with sorrow. David and his men tore their clothes, lamented, wept, and fasted. They had lost King Saul and Prince Jonathan, along with many Israelite soldiers who died in battle. He then wrote a lament and ordered the leaders to teach it to the people of Judah. A portion of the lament read, "Saul and Jonathan, beloved and lovely, in life and in death they were not divided. They were swifter than eagles, they were stronger than lions. O daughters of Israel, weep over Saul, who clothed you with crimson, in luxury, who put ornaments of gold on your apparel. How the mighty have fallen in the midst of the battle. Jonathan lies slain upon your high places." David continued, "I am distressed for you, my brother Jonathan. Greatly beloved were you to me. Your love to me was wonderful, passing the love of women. How the mighty have fallen, and the weapons of war perished."